Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And it is finally time to jump into Heroes Jubilee number 41. And I'm going to lead up with this right now. This Jubilee sucks. Not only because the meta is pretty not great, in my personal opinion, for boss battles, but also the normal battles use teams that don't have a lot of units. We haven't had an EX water unit, I think, since Carnation Shinsha for New Year's Blessing. And she's single target. So for AoEs, you're going to have to go further back than that. Fire, we're in a fire and earth meta, but if you didn't summon for this meta, fire and earth are still the two weakest elements of the game. So normal battles are going to be kind of rough alongside the boss battle fights. So I'm sorry, this video, it probably will not be as I wouldn't say quality, but team variety might be a little bit not as great this time because there's just not a lot of water, earth, and fire units to pull from, and there's nothing we can really do about that. But today we're going to be looking at Normal Battle 1. I'm currently rank 7. I'm missing 28 points off of the max score. 113,672 versus 113,700. I really don't care about 28 points. So the scores that I show you will do just fine. It's an AoE stage, so you're fighting 3 spiders, and you're supposed to nuke with the water AoE character. The starting hand is 2 greens and 4 blues. So before we jump in, disclaimers as normal. So number 1, your results may vary, especially in this Jubilee. You use the team builds I have as guides. You have to sub out some support units based on who you have and who you don't have. It's not, you're not supposed to replicate them one-to-one unless you absolutely can. Disclaimer number 2 is that these are the units I use for protection gauge. These are the units I use for skill point gain on turn 1 and subsequent turns. And then number 3 is please don't forget to go into your town and optimize your water building to make sure your water nuker can get the most damage output available. But with that said, let's jump in. Alright, first up for Normal Battle 1 is the Water Hinata from the 2nd Anniversary Nuker. So she's underneath her, her original protector, Milim. We've got Coleus Violet. We've got the free-to-play Dark Ranga that came with the meta, and then Shizu as well. And then we've brought the 4-star Gobta for the orb change and his poison evasion skill on turn 2. Hinata has the all-element buff, plus she gives herself a little bit of weakness strike. That will definitely help our damage out. And Shizu's here, ult resistance down. Ranga has the pierce power. Violet has the big-time magic buff. Milim is going to give Hinata the guaranteed pierce rate. So that's how we're going to benefit off Ranga's skill. So all in all, this team can hit damage cap, and if you get lucky, then you can also get a max score. It's just that I get unlucky here, so we don't. Alright, so starting out, again, the reason we brought Gobta is twofold. His turn 1 orb change is going to be very, very important. We're not using maximum protection gauge on turn 1. We've got some skill point unit underneath to give us a little bit of extra wiggle room on turn 2, because otherwise we'd be starting with 30. The extra 6 points will matter. So here, orb change with Gobta. It's very important that if you're trying to go for max score, you only take 1 damage. So you need to have type advantage, you need the extra stats from Protector Milim to give you the extra defense, and you just need to be tanky overall. Because if you take more than 1, you're not going to get the max score. But if you don't really care about that, then it doesn't matter. So you also need to make sure that they all guard, and you need to make sure that you get 3 orbs for Hinata. No more and no less. No, if you get less, you're not going to get her EX ult. If you get more, you're going to kill one of the spiders. Guaranteed. Because they cannot handle 3 Hinata orbs that have the pierce buff on. So we're going to put the ult gauge resistance down and ult rush Hinata. That's important. And then we're going to use Milim here. She's going to give us 40 points. And that will allow us to now use the pierce power, or the orb change actually, for Ranga, because we need the extra 10% gauge increase on the oranges as well. And it also gives us enough points to use the Gobta poison dodge right here. So this is very important. You need to use that orb change. Even though you already have 6 oranges, you need that extra little bit of gauge, because Hinata's trait kicks in, and that will get us her her EX ult. So like we're just a nut tap away from that. But here, like we're doing 10k a hit, they cannot survive. No one has attack gear on except for Hinata and her support character, so we do as little damage as possible. And then I believe we have a water attack charm on, or the AoE charm. I think, yeah, actually it's the AoE charm that we have for Hinata, because it's going to boost us up, because we're already getting element damage from Hinata's own skill. But here, turn 3, we're ready to go, so we'll bring in Hinata, or no, sorry, we'll bring in Violet, and we'll use Milim. But we have taken damage here. They pierced Ranga, which is very unfortunate. So that is the reason why I don't have a max score. If he had only taken 1 hit, then, or 1 damage, we would have been fine. 551 across the board, and that gets us our current high score. Again, just a few points shy from the max, but there we go. There is the team that you can hit it with, as long as you get moderately lucky. Alright, next up is a New Year's Blessing-ish team. We've got Shion, Carnation Shinsha, and Milim. We've got Fount of Wisdom Rimuru, Water AoE Nuker. Not magic, but he's still got a pretty hefty physical buff. We've once again brought Gobta for the poison dodge and the orb change turn 1. And then we've got Octogram Lumi, who's going to give us a little bit of extra ult damage and the AoE buff for Rimuru to nuke a little bit harder. Shion is giving us the guaranteed crit, guaranteed synergy, and now I believe I have a water attack charm on, so we can buff up Rimuru just even further. So again, this run does not get me max score because I don't hit that damage cap with Rimuru. If you have better gear, if you have more dupes in Fount of Wisdom Rimuru, it's certainly possible to do that, because you'll have the extra 20%, and that may actually cover you. But turn 1, you're still going to use the Gob to orb change as soon as I figure out what the hell I'm doing here. Okay. Alright, we brought Gobta in. We're going to use the orb change. I don't know what I was doing. I must have been distracted. So, boom. And then he comes out for Fount of Wisdom Rimuru. So now, again, if you're going for max, 1 damage. Everybody's got extra stuff, but now we're using the full combination of skill point units, because we need points to orb change and use the 15-point buff. So we need to have at least 2 skill point units in the front line, whether it be Space Milim and Water Soe, or Wind Lumi, or Wind Ramers if you have her trait, whatever works. Here, this is very good, because we got 5 Rimuru orbs. We don't do nearly as much damage on this turn as what Hinata was doing in the last fight, so we're not really in danger of killing, even though we have to use Shion to give Rimuru guaranteed crit, guaranteed synergy. It's gonna be fine. So we've used both Lumi buffs now, so that's 2 stacks of the AoE, 1 stack of the ult. We've got enough points to use the poison dodge here, and then we're going to use Shion. And 6 oranges here will be enough to cycle into another Shion for next turn. So spreading the damage out, again, making it even without killing anybody. We're going to have 108 points to pull from, so just enough to use everything, along with the 30 points we're going to get from Shion herself. So there's a poison dodge, 1 hit, 1 damage, sorry, 1 damage. And now we've got, actually no, it's 108 total. So we're going to bring in Shinsha and use her buff and the Milim buff, because we don't have enough points. Oranges do not get you a lot of points, so we're going to do this. If you want to go to turn 4, because you can actually go to turn 4 in this fight, you can then hit damage cap, but we do 360k here. If you want to try and finagle your way into, all 3 buffs in another turn, it's just you're going to take more damage, and you may, inadvertently give yourself minus a couple points here for damage taken. But in the off cases, you get, the 1.4 million damage cap. Certainly an option. You can go to turn 4 and still get max turn bonus with this team. Alright, another team that can get you the max damage score, and potentially, a full max score overall, is this team. So we've once again brought back Water Hinata, because there aren't a lot of big-time AoE EX water units to pull from. But we've brought Exalted Champion Velzard and the Masked Hero. Gobta's still here. Violet is back. And then we've got Overlord Shizu. So you're essentially going for the same thing, it's just that you're buffing slightly differently, and you're going to turn 4 on this team, so you have 160 points to use both Shizu and Violet's buffs. We don't need to use Hinata's buff, because we're already getting the 50% element buff from Velzard. It's just you're missing that weakness strike, but Shizu's giving you 100%. So you don't actually, like, both parts of Hinata's buff is already covered on this team, so you don't use her skill at all. Okay. I mean, same thing. Again, Gobta's here for the orb change and poison dodge. You know, if you don't have any water characters, like I have another team after this that's going to be real sad, but you know, it's Water Shion. Again, water characters are not heavily favored right now. They used to be, you know, every single meta we get a water character, and then they just stopped doing that for like 4 months in a row. So we haven't had any new water characters except for the new tier. And she's single target, and I don't have her. So there's the orb change. We've got 11 points left over, so we'll bring in Shizu now. Both her and Milim underneath her are going to give us extra protection gauge, even though we're still going to get a Velzard here plus a lot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're not bringing Hinata in because we are banking on having 3 orbs for the hero to steal away. We left her up front, though. We left her up front because she has the extra stats, and so she's going to take 1 damage. So here we got a good hand, so boom, we'll steal those into a full hand. We're going to use Velzard now and not give Hinata the element buff, and that will prevent us from doing too much damage to these spiders and accidentally killing them. Because now we're going to turn 4. We have to take into account that we're going to have an extra turn of hitting them. So Gobta, poison dodge, excellent. We just have to pray that they don't hit Gobta because he's not getting the extra defense from Velzard because he's physical. And if they don't hit him, then great. Then you're safe. We're going to use the gauge increase from Shizu as well. We don't have to alt swap at all, but we have the points left over, and we're going to cap out anyways, so it doesn't really matter all that much. But you see, we're doing quite a good chunk of damage to them because we have to send 2 orbs each, and then this one's 200%. So this is why we did not give her the extra element damage buff from Velzard. So now we are at 130. We need 160. There's the Hinata trait kicking in. If you don't have Hinata's duped up, if you get Hinata orbs on this turn, you can just send like 1 orb or something and you can get it. But here, I mean, we're just trying to lower their health down a little bit and get those free 30 points from Velzard. And then here is where, you know, you're going to take 9 damage automatically because they're doing an AoE. And if they happen to pierce you, well, no more max score for you. But now we have 160, enough to use both the big time buffs, and we've had Velzard stored up, so there's the element damage, and then we just go ahead and nuke with a full power Hinata, and we do 519k. So we do the damage cap. But do we get the max score? No, we took 400 damage somewhere because they hit Gobta. Unfortunate. But, you know, there is another team that if you get lucky, you can max it out. Alright, this final team is for all my sad folks that have no water EX characters to pull from. You gotta use some old characters. We've brought, you know, Halloween Milim. If you don't have her, use Toa, use Hakuro. I mean, I'm just doing it because she gives Water Shion guaranteed pierce, but if you don't have her, then just use one of the other orange orb changers. You can bring New Year's Blessing Shion, it's just that she's not going to give this Shion crit and synergy because she's not physical. You're just looking for the ult. And she's not an EX character, so you don't need that many orbs for her either. Water Rimuru will take care of our turn 1 orb change. Veldora is here for some friggin' reason, I don't remember. Bride Shuna is here to steal orbs for Shion, and then Water Shuna is here for her own ult buff to give to Shion. So ideally, you're looking for multiple uses of Milim to get enough points to use 3 buffs. 2 from Shion, 1 from Shuna. Okay. So again, turn 1, we're not bringing Gobta here, so we're not poison dodging. Obviously, we're not going to get max cap anyways, so not a real big point of contention for it. We're going to flip the Shunas so that we put Bride Shuna in the back so she can steal. If you don't have Bride Shuna, use the hero, use Summer Hinata, just use someone who can triple orb steal. You can use Fire Velzard for all I care. She's got a double orb steal, so you just need a bit extra RNG. She would have worked here because we have 4 orbs for Shuna, so that worked out fairly well. You just have to RNG it into it. But here, we're going to use Veldora's green buff as well, because we need that extra little bit of oomph to get extra points and another, Milim, because we need to double Milim here on turn 3 or turn 4. But we can't really use Milim right here. We're just wanting to do this instead. Or we use her now. But if we use her now, we're not going to benefit off the green buff, we're not going to get a lot of stuff coming back, and we need to have enough to at least use 165 points. And so as long as you get to that, because we have 80 guaranteed from the double Milim, you just need the little bit of extra to get there. So, poison, whatever, 490 damage, okay, cool. Cheeky counter, just, took their health down a little bit extra, which technically does help. But now we'll bring Water Shuna in. We'll use the alt buff from her. The water resistance down is only on one enemy, so it doesn't really matter who you put it on. And then we'll use Milim, and then we'll use one of Shion's skill. She is skill fused. If she's not, then you'll just do less damage. Okay, sure. And then we'll use the final Milim. Make sure you don't use them both at once, because then you won't have enough points. So then there is the magic attack and water buff, and then we'll just nuke with Shion, and she does 75k. And if you didn't have Milim as a protector, she wouldn't have pierced, and you would have done less. But there is a team that you can attempt to use from a limited pool of AoE water characters. And that's going to do it for Normal Battle 1. Again, hopefully this video helped you out. I know variety is kind of limited. The nukers are limited. I'm sorry. If you have any other suggestions that works for the stage, please put it in the comments so other people can see that and take advantage of it. But that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.